Hello, welcome to Floella's Storyland. I love telling stories, and I've written lots of storybooks too. And this is one of them, My Two Grannies. It's one of my favorites, and I wrote this story for my daughter, Alvina. I call Alvina a golden girl because she has a granny from the Caribbean and a granny from Britain. And I wrote this story to show you how you can find out lots about other people. So here's the story of My Two Grannies. Alvina had two grannies who she loved with all her heart. They were called Granny Vero and Granny Rose. Granny Vero was born on the Caribbean island of Trinidad, and Granny Rose was born in the Yorkshire town of Barnsley. Now, they both lived in the same city as Alvina and her parents. Alvina always looked forward to visiting her grannies because she loved hearing the stories they told about when they were little girls. "Tell me about Trinidad again," Alvina begged. "Oh, don't you ever get tired of hearing the same stories, Alvina?" said Granny Vero. "Never," said Alvina. "Well, when I was your age, we used to go to the beach and splash around in the tropical sea," said Granny Vero with a big smile on her face. "We never wanted to come out of that warm Caribbean water." "Oh, I would love to do that, Granny V," said Alvina. "Well, one day, darling, I'll take you to Trinidad," said Granny Vero. "I promise." When Alvina saw Granny Rose, she asked, "Did you swim in the sea all day when you were little?" "No, lovey," laughed Granny Rose. "The sea in Blackpool was much too cold. But we did play on the beach all day long and ride on the donkeys." "We must all go to Blackpool one day so you can do that too." "Oh, yes, please," said Alvina. Both grannies loved to play music on their old record player, and Alvina loved listening to it too. Granny Rose played brass band music. "Oh, this music always reminds me of when we used to go to the park on Sundays to listen to the local brass band. On May Day, we would watch the Morris dancers fling their arms in the air and jingle the bells on their legs as they twirled around the maypole to the music." "Let's try it, Granny R," said Alvina. As they tried to do the Morris dance, they both fell exhausted in a heap of laughter. Granny Vero's favorite music was calypso and steel pan. "This is what we used to play in Trinidad," Granny Vero explained to Alvina. "It always made me want to dance in the street at carnival time. Come on, Alvina. Shake your waist while you dance. Come on, shake your waist. Like this, Granny V. That's right, darling. Shake your waist. Shake your waist." Well, one day, Alvina's two grannies were at her house for tea. And Alvina's mum said, "It'll be our 10th wedding anniversary next month. Why don't the two of you go away together?" said Granny Vero. "I'll be more than happy to look after Alvina." "No, I'll look after her. She can come and stay with me," said Granny Rose. The two grannies argued and argued about who would look after Alvina. So Alvina said, "Why don't you both come here and stay with me and look after me here?" The two grannies frowned at each other, but agreed. Yes, they would both look after Alvina. The day arrived when Alvina's parents were going off on holiday. "Have a nice time," said Alvina, hugging her mum and dad tightly. "Oh, we're going to miss you," said Mum. "Now you be a good girl for your grannies," said Dad. I will," said Alvina. "Now, don't worry, I'll look after her," said Granny Vero. "And I will too," said Granny Rose. As soon as they waved her parents goodbye, Alvina said, "Let's play a game." Yes, we can play dominoes," said Granny Vero. No, we can play snakes and ladders, said Granny Rose. Alvina didn't know which game to play first, so she said, shall we go for a walk? Let's go to the park. We can feed the ducks, said Granny Rose. No, we could go to the zoo and see the agouti and the toucan, said Granny Vero. Alvina didn't know what to do, so she said, should we have something to eat first? I'll cook you a lovely steak and kidney pie with mashed potatoes and carrots, said Granny Rose. No, let me cook some nice rice and peas with chicken and plantains, said Granny Vero. Alvina couldn't decide who should cook, so they got something out of the freezer. At bedtime, the two grannies both wanted to tell Alvina a story. How about an Anansi story, said Granny Vero. Or I could tell you the story of Jack and the Beanstalk, said Granny Rose. Alvina didn't know which story to choose, so she said she was too tired to hear a story, and she went fast asleep. The next morning, when Alvina got up, she had an idea. She sat down at the breakfast table with the two grannies and said, Granny V and Granny R, I love the things you both do for me, so why don't you take turns? Granny V, you can do everything one day, and Granny R, you can do everything the next day. And that's what happened. They all played dominoes the way Granny Vero used to do when she was a girl. Afterwards, Granny Vero cooked peas and rice, chicken and plantains with mango flan for pudding. Yummy, yummy. This is lovely, Granny V, said Alvina, tucking in. Very nice, said Granny Rose. You must give me the recipe. Then they went to the zoo and saw the agouti and the toucan, the animals Granny Vero had seen in the forest as a little girl in Trinidad. Oh, it must have been wonderful to see those animals in the wild, said Granny Rose. That night, Granny Vero told an exciting Anansi story. Anansi would turn himself into a spider whenever he was in trouble, she said. Or if he wanted to play a trick, chipped in Alvina, who couldn't help but join in. That Anansi sounds crafty, said Granny Rose. He is, said Alvina, with eyes as wide as saucers. Alvina gave both her grannies a huge big hug, and then fell fast asleep with a smile on her face. The grannies smiled too. The next day, it was Granny Rose's turn. They played snakes and ladders. Down the snake I go, said Granny Rose. Never mind, Granny R, said Alvina. You won the last game. Then they went to the park and Alvina fed the ducks. That duck is greedy. It's eating all the bread, laughed Alvina. I'll give them some of mine, said Granny Vero. This is fun. Granny Rose cooked steak and kidney pie with mashed potatoes and carrots and apple pie for pudding. You must show me how to make steak and kidney pie, said Granny Vero. It's delicious. At bedtime, Granny Rose told the story of Jack and the Beanstalk. Fee, fi, fo, fum, I smell the blood of an Englishman, said Alvina and Granny Rose together. I like that part of the story, Alvina said. Run, Jack, run. Yes, run, Jack, run, run, giggled Granny Vero. The two grannies took turns for the rest of the week to look after Alvina. They really got to know each other better. When Alvina's parents came back from holiday, she was very excited to see them. Did you have a nice time with your grannies? Asked Mum. Oh, yes, said Alvina. We had lots and lots and lots and lots of fun. They both made me feel so special. That's because we love you, chipped in the two grannies, and they gave her a great big hug. And I love you too, said Alvina. with all my heart. Did you enjoy that story? I love telling that story, and Alvina always loved hearing it too. Which was your favourite part of the story? Was it the dancing? Or was it going to the park to feed the ducks? Quack, 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 quack. Or going to the zoo? You know, I remember seeing parrots and toucans flying in the sky when I was a little girl in Trinidad, just like Granny V. It's great finding out about other people and what they like doing, isn't it? Well, why don't you try and find out from some of your friends what they like to do? But it's time for me to go now, so stay safe and keep smiling, won't you? Bye-bye. Bye-bye from Floella Storyland. Bye. Come on, say goodbye. Bye.